Praise the living God. Ancient of days, as you, can you be bold to celebrate the King of Kings? As old as you, the Almighty will never change. The I am that I am, the Almighty Father.
Ancient of days, as old as you,
Jehovah
you will never
change. Nobody crowned him. The one that reigns in all and nobody can dethrone him. The one that is on the throne and reigns forevermore. We bless your holy name, Father. Thank you, Lord, for life. Thank you, Lord, for peace. Thank you, Lord, for grace. Thank you, Lord, for joy. Particularly, Father, we thank you even for our nation, Nigeria. The country in which all of us, oh God, you have planted us to serve you and to be a blessing to our generation. Father, receive our thanks for our nation in Jesus' name. Amen. Almighty Father, Lord, we commit today into your hand and all that we have to do here. We are asking, Father, that your presence will take absolute control in the name of Jesus. Lord, we pray everyone that will come to speak, everyone that will handle one thing or the other. We pray, Lord, your grace will rest upon them in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Heavenly Father. The essence of our being here today to celebrate your daughter, we pray that essence will be established in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Father, for everything. I pray for those still coming, that Lord, you will hasten their steps here in Jesus' name. I ask, oh God, for your spirit to take absolute control. Thank you for everything. We dedicate and open this event in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and in the name of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. Please be seated. God bless.
Can we say Reverend Sam Oluniyi? Can we celebrate him, please? Thank you so much. We'll take you one more assignment, which in the course of the event, and this will be the only time I'll ask you to stand up, because we want to honor our nation. It's for the love of the country, and as you can see, we're here to have a great time, and I can assure you, it's going to be very interactive. In another 1 hour, max 2 hours, we should be done with this symposium, so we can have time to go rest very, very shortly. I'll be inviting the convener very shortly, in another 2 minutes. But once again, like I said, please, let's keep our belongings, let's keep our bags. If we need to go use the gent, all the ladies, let's make sure someone is watching our bags. It should not become a souvenir to someone else. Please, kindly, please keep your phones and so I will not be stranded in the name of Jesus. Let's make sure we have our transport fare. Today is the 24th of April. Nothing missing, nothing broken in Jesus' name. We don't want you to drive past and get after. All right, at this time, we'll take the national anthem. And after that, I will invite our excellent. And then we'll go straight in the panel session. Earlier on, we have the former Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Princess Sarah Adebisi. So she came in quite early. She was here before 2 p.m. I think past few minutes past 2. And she had to quickly step out to, I'm sure she's back. She's coming very soon. Our keynote speaker also, Dr. Patutomi, will be coming in very shortly. But we have some distinguished panelists and speakers here today that I've had the privilege of not a bias of mine, but I've had an encounter with him a few years ago, and I will be talking about him very shortly. But now, can we please be on our feet as we take our national anthem? We'll take the first stanza of the national anthem, and then we'll officially start. I know we've started spiritually. Let's have the physical part of. Are you there ready, DJ? Let's go. No, that's not our national anthem. I might be the remix. Okay. Thank you so much. We believe that justice will reign in Nigeria. Can we celebrate ourselves? Put our hands together, and nothing will stop us from having peace in Nigeria. Thank you. You may be seated at this time. Once again, welcome the person sitting close to you. Tell the person you're welcome. Tell the person you're welcome. If you don't know the person before, introduce yourself. Tell the person your name, your genotype. If you're single, let them know that, yeah. If you are single, let them know you are single before God and man. If you are dating somebody, tell them you know. If somebody is dating you, tell them, because you might be dating somebody and the person does not know. So there's a lot of things. Yeah. We like to specially recognize people connecting on Zoom. Can we celebrate? We have a lot of people connecting on Zoom that didn't have the opportunity of joining us because of one of their busy schedule. We recognize. Can we celebrate them? Let's let them feel welcome. Can we celebrate them? Can they feel your? Yes. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite someone that I've known for a very long time. And someone will say, how long have I known Atinuke? I think she's known me for a long time, and I got to have a conversation with her over a month ago, and I met her for the first time 6 days ago. Thank you. I met her for the first time 6 days ago, and it looks as if we've known ourselves for a long time. She will be in the best position to welcome us properly. Please join me as I bring up Our Excellency Atinuke. Can we please put her together for as she comes? Can we celebrate her, please? As she comes to welcome us properly. Can we celebrate Atinuke as she comes to welcome us properly? Where she... As a people... Can we please put our together for Atinuke?
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to say that we're starting a little late, but it's all part of the plan. So we planned at 3 o'clock we're going to start, because we factored in that, you know, we're still in Nigeria and there's an issue of African timing. So it's part of the plan. So the actual plan B is the actual plan A. All right. Thank you so very much, everyone, for joining me here today. Thank you for coming to celebrate my 40th birthday with me. Yeah. Okay. May I do your work? I should just go ahead. All right. I want to welcome my role model, yes, Patitomi. So I'm going to give you a very brief story about him. My dad is here, and so when I was growing up, my dad would compel me to sit down and watch Patito's Gang. And at that time, I really didn't used to understand what they discuss about. But I really can tell you that listening to those things were programming me for what I am today and for the things that I'm currently doing. And so I met him in his office the last time and I told him all of the story. So he knows it already, but hey, Patitomi is one of my role models. And please, can you celebrate him for me as he's coming in? Okay. I think I have Mrs. Sarah Soso in the house. Okay. All right. So as they come in, I'll give you a brief about all these people. All right. I can see you, Daddy. Thank you for coming. My mom is here. I have plenty mommies. I have plenty daddies. I can see everyone. All right. So thank everyone for coming here today. And really, I am not the party person. I'm not really the social kind of person. So I was thinking that 40th birthday is a milestone. And I felt, how else should I celebrate it other than for me to celebrate what I live for? So for the past 18 years, I always say that I found purpose at age 21, which was quite early. And when I was in uni, a lot of people were like, Tinuke, what is it you are all about? People didn't really understand what was driving me. And I felt at a point that, there was a point in my life where my parents too, they really didn't know what I was really about. Okay, but they knew that I was doing something. And then I think I shared with my dad when I had the urge. I told my dad, I said, oh, there's this thing I want to do and all of that. My dad slept over it. He can't remember, but he slept over it, and the next day he woke up. He said, Tinuke, early in the morning, said, Tinuke, do you know what you shared with me yesterday? I thought about it all through the night, and it's a very good one. And he said, all his life, he had always thought that I was going to be best in academics. So he comes to my school, and first, second, third, all through my 6 years in secondary school, I never got a prize. So he said, I thought I was growing up so tall and slim, and so he said he thought I was going to be good with athletes, and yet I wasn't into any sports. Okay, yeah. So he now said, but this one is a good one. So he gave me a guide, and to his honor, he gave the word the insight and the tagline, restoring the dignity of nationhood. I want to say thank you to my dad. Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you. And so here we are for the love of country. For the love of country is actually my own personal message. But what I have done all the 18 years is growing the Insight Development Organization, which is a leadership development and a nation building organization. What do? We nurture and groom young people with the right mindset and values for leadership. So we are saying that if you cannot train a dog, but we can train a puppy. So this is the idea, that can we begin to raise a new generation of African leaders? Can we begin to change the mindset, to program them for success, to program them for a meaningful life, to program them to take the lead of their own personal life, their public life, and their professional lives? This is what we're about. And I didn't start this alone. I started with some great minds. People, even when we were in university, they believed so much in the message and they understood the vision. I really want to use today, like I prayed, I told my friend, I said, Femi, we are celebrating today. It is not all about me. Femi is my brother from another mother. Femi has total buy-in into me, in as much as he's also a great personality in himself. Femi is no longer here today. Femi couldn't wait to see his 40th. Femi shared dreams of how we are going to be on our wheelchair, rocking our wheelchair, and how people we have raised, people we have groomed will be shaping the culture, will be shaping the future. The text message is on my phone. He sent it to me as a text message. And I said, Femi, amen. But it's sad that Femi didn't wait to see that old age. So Femi Babalogba, with all due respect in his absence, I would like us to give him a 1 minute. May his gentle soul rest in peace. Amen. All right. So not only Femi. So myself and Femi, we went about mini campus, and we were going about to look for young minds, like minds that were going to join us in what we were doing. And so we reached out. We saw Bankole Bello. Bankole Bello is not here today. I have never celebrated these people, so permit me to give the story, and because there is no me without them. They are my support. Bankole Bello is in Abuja. He tried to make it, but one reason due to the other. Daya Phillips is also in Abuja, and along the line we set out and we met one young guy also in school. He was amazed and he admired what we were doing. That, come on, these are people like me. And till today, we are still together, and he's the brain behind everything we are doing today. He's been planning this 40th 40th birthday ceremony since October. Please kindly help me to appreciate and in acknowledgement of Ademola Adeshola. Please, Demola, get up for recognition. Okay, so Demola will be turning 40 today, but the way I hold meetings, the way I'm in their midst, I'm the only female in their midst, and they don't ever for once make me feel like a female. They make me feel like, I'm intelligent, I'm intellectual, I'm wise, and when I tell them this is the direction we need to go, guess what? They go. And I respect that about them because they are authorities in their own right. Thank you so very much, Demola. Thank you for the journey so far. Okay, so it's good I share that as a background, because there'll be no for love of country without them. All right. So I've always, what gingered me in 2020, in the year 2020, I decided to step out boldly and fully for the love of country. And that was because I saw what a lot of young people were doing. And I said, okay, it is time. Then I remember that day in 2018, 2018, Femi Babalugba came to my house and said, okay, he came to challenge me. Each time we always have conversation. People who know me, I don't have time for gossip. I engage in developmental conversations. And so we were conversing, and Femi, right then there, I changed Femi's perspective as to the situation of things at that time. And Femi now said, okay, please, let this not be only me that is hearing all this. Why don't you take the bold step and come out and share your views, your passion, your perspective, share your values with others, And I felt yes. But Femi died in 2019, November 2019. And when he did, it occurred to me that what happened to Femi could have happened to me. We all say God forbid, right? But it really occurred to me that what happened to Femi could have happened to me. And it woke me up. Because one of my prayers in life is, may I never die with all my dreams. Yes. Yes, if I have a dream, I feel like this is the time to run with it. So in 2020, I came into 2020 with the only vision, with the only goal, with the only purpose and aim that this year I'm just going to set up for the love of country. Now, the difference between for the love of country and the Insight is a nurturing place. The Insight is a grooming place. It's vast, it's wide. So we raise leaders in business, we raise leaders in industry, we raise political leaders, we raise religious leaders. It's wide. But for the love of country, it's typically only for active citizens. People who desire to say, you know what, I want to be a good citizen and I want to make a difference in my own community. This is what For the Love of Country is about. And I do this via podcast, my IG Live, and I use Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Yes, I set out trying to use the traditional media, but of course, you know that money isn't so easy to come across. So I leveraged on technology that we all have. And so that's what I do with For the Love of Country. So I formally welcome you today for the maiden symposium of For the Love of Country, because I behold that is the way for me to pass my message across. Or else, maybe we weren't going to do this. I was just going to be in my house. Maybe my husband will take me out to a nice place and we'll just celebrate our 40th birthday, right? But yeah, here we are for the maiden symposium of For the Love of Country. And when I was planning the whole thing, my husband said to me, okay, I realized that the only thing you're focusing on is this symposium. What about the dinner? I said, the dinner, everybody will be all right. Okay, so thank you so very much for showing up. I know some people, some of my friends have already targeted. I don't worry. Okay, so this is dinner. I know what that means, right? So for you guys here, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so very much. And so the lineup is powerful. The lineup is powerful. Professor Patu Tomi, who is my role model, will be taking us on a keynote because I identify with a lot of things he says, and I identify with his passion for the country because it truly serves. And the last time we were there in his office, all that we were talking about is the problem with Nigeria and the way forward. Okay, so he's going to come up soon, take us on the keynote speaker and the keynote address, and we have the other panels join us. I have seen two of my panelists. We have GNI, that's Boyega Nasir Isaka. He's actually contesting for the Senate for the House of Senate in Ogun State now. Yeah, but he was the gubernatorial candidate for Ogun State in the past election. So we have Mr. Joseph Edgar. Wow, a very controversial person. And I'm sure he's ready and pumped for this conversation today. I like him and he's deliberately brought up on board for his conversation. I like conversational style. So we're going to be talking about the solutions. So it's pumped up. We have Mrs. Sarah Soso in the house. Mrs. Sarah Soso is very passionate about a sector that is very fundamental and foundational to the Nigeria of our dreams. And you know what it is? It is education. So, and she has a Sarah Soso foundation, and what they do is they have intervention in educational sector. So she's here, and I like her for what she's doing. And because she's actually the only female, for based on my knowledge, the deputy governor of Lagos State who had a portfolio. Go check her out. These are credible people. Okay. We also have Honorable Kayode Okwefa. He's not here yet, but he's also on his way. So with this lineup of people, I believe that we're going to have a very, very engaging and enlightening time. So now, why for the love of country? See, Nigeria belongs to every one of us. Ajo Dabile, I don't know how to say that in English. Not as if I'm so good in Yoruba like that. But really, there's no place like home. Nigeria is our home thing. Nigeria is our home. If we do not take care of our home, if we do not nurture our garden, then who else will do it for us? See, we will come and realize that, yes, there's no place like home. So I believe that we owe ourselves the responsibility. We owe ourselves the responsibility to take Nigeria from where it is now to where Nigeria ought to be. I believe strongly that there's a Nigeria of our dreams, a Nigeria where a common man wants to just have access to the basic necessity of life, a Nigeria where we want to be, a Nigeria where we want to see to be like Dubai. I have seen into the eyes of an average Nigerian, and I have come to the realization and the conclusion that Nigerians don't want too much. They just want to be fine. Nigerians are lover of life. They just want to feel good. They just want to enjoy the basic needs of life. Then I get to question, is it that difficult? Is it a rocket science? So, but guess what? This is not the time. In this generation, we are the awakening generation. This is not the generation where we'll be pointing fingers, laying blames, complaining and lamenting about who does it, who doesn't, who didn't do it. Now, who doesn't do it? Who didn't do it? Who didn't do it well? Who is to do it? Guess what? You are pointing to yourself. You are pointing to yourself. So you are the one that Nigeria is waiting for. So what are you supposed to be doing? How are you to go about the things that you are supposed to be doing? Is what this conversation is going to be all about. And is also what I have been doing on my social media handles for the love of country, about sharing the mindset, the values, and the actions that we need to embark on as active citizens. This is the time, guys. Me, I have no place to go. If I go out here, I'm just going out for vacation. But there's work to do in Nigeria. And the work to be done lies in you and I. Thank you. So today is a very short day where a lot of things will be happening. And I'm very passionate about this. And I asked myself, okay, this is 40. What was life after 40? For me, it's really not about the celebration. For me, it's really about the life after 40. What will I be doing? What legacy do I want to leave? Who am I raising? So which led to this fellowship called the Rising Reformers Fellowship. The Rising Reformers Fellowship are only for those who are interested in taking governmental positions, who are interested in serving their country, people who want to work as civil servants, people who want to take leadership roles in political responsibilities. These are people who have the burning desire, who feel that there's a problem in Nigeria that's got their name on it. This kind of people, if you know them, please tell them to apply for the Rising Reformers Fellowship. The Rising Reformers Fellowship is a free 11-month fellowship where I am going to bring in all the resources that I've got, all my knowledge, all my skills, all my abilities, all my financial resources, all my human resources. That is to say, people that I know, I'm going to call them on board to say, you know what, this is the time. If you cannot do anything, at least pass your knowledge, pass your inspiration, into this set of people. So that is what we'll be doing at Rising Reformers. And so today we'll be inaugurating the Rising Reformers. And when the time comes, I'm going to make some announcements about the Rising Reformers Fellowship. They are Rising Reformers. These are people who would restore, who will rebuild, and who will reform what is broken and what is lost. Nigeria is ours, and we have no choice but to make it. In fact, I personally always feel that on the day of judgment, when we all go back to meet our Maker, I strongly so believe, I don't know why or how, that God is going to ask us, the place I placed you, I placed you in Nigeria for a purpose, for a reason. What did you do? Did you till the garden? Remember when God made Adam? God put Adam in the garden and gave Adam the instruction to do what? To name it and till the garden. So this is our home garden. Are you tilling it? Rising Reformers Fellowship. These people will restore, they will rebuild, and they will reform. Okay, and today, by God's grace, I realized, and I looked back at my life, I realized that, Tinike, what exactly has been your message? What have you actually been preaching? And I felt that, I have been into the leadership development sector. I've been in that space for 18 years of my life, and I don't take that for granted at all. And so I've acquired some trainings, I've acquired some certifications, I've acquired some knowledge, I've acquired some understanding and gained new perspective in my conversation with people within industry. And I feel, okay, Tinike, apart from the trainings you do for young people, well, don't you think that it's strategic for you to put your perspective together and launch a book? Because particularly for the hindsight, we have a leadership ideology that says to lead is to love. Not everybody is preaching that. But if people are preaching that, what I want to is, I really want to expound that message. To lead is to love. And how we can lead our lives daily. So I will be, of course, today be launching my book. So it's called Living Leadership Daily. Living Leadership Daily. So when you get the copy of the book, you're going to have an idea of what it entails. So I've just done today is just to organize, package and document the things I've always done, the things I've always said, and the things that I strongly believe in. So thank you so very much for the honor. I do not take each and every one of you for granted. Today's a Sunday. You could just be in your house and lounge, watch Netflix and chill, or just go hang out with friends. But then you chose to be here with me today. Thank you so very much. And I pray that God is going to reward each and every one of you and is going to honor you greatly. Thank you. Welcome to my show. For the love of country, the symposium.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put your hands together for the passionate Tinike? Can we celebrate her? To let you know that she's, in fact, for me, she's the keynote speaker. Professor Pato told me is the senior keynote speaker. Let's celebrate her, please. Like she said, she would have been seated, and her husband that has been romantic would have taken her out for dinner, and she would just enjoy herself. But she's here to give back. And I'm sure that we are all stakeholders in Nigeria. Even though we in our mind, we have the plan B, but we are stakeholders and Nigeria is our own. At this time, we just go straight to a man that I have great respect for. Not the fact that he's my uncle, not the fact that he is someone that I have great respect for, that started something that had never been done before in the year 1980, the Patitos Gang. Passionate about Nigeria. He is the convener for Center for Value and Leadership. He is a political economist, a management expert. Ladies and gentlemen, will please join me as I bring up our keynote speaker for today to speak to us for another 30 minutes. Join me as I invite Professor Pat Utomi. Can we celebrate him, please, as he will be speaking to us on our team today, Accelerating National Development. We celebrate you, sir.
Thank you all so very much. Thank you. Please, let's be seated. It's an honor, a privilege to be here today and to be a witness to the passion that are celebrants. A celebrant has for this very, very important subject matter, which is leadership and how our country can be led differently than it has been led up to this point. Let me pay great tribute to her parents. Very often we take parents a little for granted. I mean, that's the way God arranged it. You know, it's a place of unconditional giving. So because it's unconditional, we take them for granted. But we really are very often the investments that they make in us, the way that they have watered us as seed. And so congratulations for the great output of your effort. I want to just begin by saying that the point that Atinuke has made about our purpose as human beings. He talked about tilling the garden. Really, truly, I have a perspective on being, which essentially says that the essence, the purpose of our being here on earth is to become partners with God. If you really, truly go to Genesis 2:15 and read it well and reflect on it, what it basically says is that God created us to become his partners and to continue to move creation forward, move creation towards its perfection. And if we're going to be partners with God, then surely the work we do has divine purpose. And we cannot be as effective as we can be with most things unless we truly become leaders. Leadership is so fundamental to effectiveness in life. Like my Malaysian friends, back them all in Malaysia, a few to like engagement. We probably also remember that was the first week of making history. Coming to visit them. Well, around the corner is 8.5 hours flight for them. You know, that's around the corner. But anyway, I thought, okay, Airbus A380, I want to be one of the first people to fly it. So I went to visit my friends in Australia. And I spent a week in Australia. And then flew back through Dubai, of course. I had a commitment in Accra in Ghana the following week, so I had to go to Ghana. What's all this traveling story about? Now, the bottom line of this story I'm telling is that on the 3rd of April, 2008, I was giving a speech at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. And I was going to use a regular example that I use until I realized, wait a minute, this is the 3rd of April. This year is 3 months old, January, February, March. And I had been on every continent of the planet. I'd been in Australia, I'd been in Asia, I'd been in Latin America, I'd been in the United States, I'd been in Europe, I'd been in Frankfurt, in London, and in Ghana. And so I said to the audience I was speaking to, I said to them, wait a minute, if I wanted to visit every continent of the planet 100 years ago, how long do you think it will take me to achieve this objective? And one fellow said, your whole life you may not succeed in doing that. I said, that's the point I'm trying to make. This is the year is 3 months out and I've been on every continent of the planet. But you know, about 100 years ago, in this country, United States, a professor of physics was giving a speech. And as he began, why did they allow them to do believe that since they have a direct connection with the big man upstairs, they can speak boldly on matters. So the bishop raised his hands and said, Professor, I want to assure you that only angels can fly. Well, the interesting thing about this bishop is that his name was right. And the bishop had 2 sons named Orville and Wilbur, who were mechanics. A few years later, his children became angels because they became the first men to fly. So the question was, why did the bishop not realize what his children knew was likely to happen? They didn't have the knowledge. And man I admire so much, called Stephen R. Covey, the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, used to say that there must be 2 things present for leadership to take place: knowledge and a sense of service. And so what Atinuke is trying to do with our work is to equip people to have knowledge, to have a sense of service, so that today's impossible will become tomorrow's routine. And so I think it's on that note that I would like to commend her, celebrate her for the work that she's doing, and wish her greater success in the things that she's planning to do. And I'm very, very hopeful she will do with her collaborators to make our country a much better place. All the problems we have in this country today can be solved if we have leaders. And one of the most important reasons why this is so, a point that I'd like to make, is that leaders actually are effective because they set the tone of culture. If there's any important thing that leaders do, they set the tone of culture. And culture shapes human progress. And I'm hoping that the work that they do will do this. Now, the particular subject to which I've been asked to address our minds is the development experience and the role that leaders truly play in making this happen, especially in a bottom-up approach to the development experience. Well, I think it's not news that our development experience has been a bit of a sad story, in a manner of speaking, in recent years. Many years ago, I was invited by DFID to work with a group of British academics from Oxford and Cambridge to look at development in Nigeria and to look at how change can take place. I think the initiative was called the Drivers of Change Program. And so we spent a very heated weekend in Abuja trying to develop a conceptual understanding of the problem with economic development in Nigeria. And they were putting up the map of, the trajectory of economic performance in Nigeria. And somewhere around 2 a.m., one of them said, "My goodness, this is the ultimate recursive economy. Recursive, 2 steps forwards, 4 steps backwards." That's how the Nigerian economy was moving. And I said to them, I said, "Why do you think this is the case?" They said, "We don't know, we can't tell. But you can see how it goes. 2 steps forwards, 4 steps backwards." The graph was obvious, was going like that. And I kind of said, one of the biggest challenges with development is that you can have weak institutions. And when you manage to find a good policy, it makes you make some progress, and weak institutions push you back. But what has happened in our recent experience is that there has been more backward travel than there has been forward travel. So altogether, Nigeria has been moving progressively backwards. So if this is the nature of our development experience, summed up by a couple of things that happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the Brookings Institution in Washington published a study that had been ongoing. That study found that Nigeria had finally, in absolute numbers of very poor people, overtaken India. Now, India is a country that has 7 times as many people living in it than Nigeria. But in the number of absolutely poor people, Nigeria had overtaken India. That's how we got this unfortunate and sad label of the poverty capital of the world. A few months after that publication, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also released a study which showed that in the next 10 years or so, between Nigeria and Congo DRC, we will have 40% of the most miserable people on the planet Earth. 40% of the poorest, most miserable people on Earth. What's the big irony? These 2 countries are probably the most natural resource-rich countries in the world. And yet, they would, both between them, produce 40% of the most miserable people on the planet. So, there is no question that our recursive economy has been moving more backwards than forward. But it's also not news that many of the countries that have been making progress have had an approach to development that is more bottom up than just pure top-down. In our country, part of the challenge, part of the problem is that we've been concentrating everything at the top. And unfortunately, because there is weak leadership preparation, many of those at that top are so narcissistic, so full of self-love, that they don't really understand the problems of the people down there. Don't even have enough compassion for people down there. I mean, just look at the joke of the last week. Even for symbolism, the fact that a quote-unquote ruling political party can announce that what it will take to get a form to run for office is 100 million at a time when people can't eat 1 meal, 2 meals a day. Just the symbolism of it shows why they are not leaders, why they don't even understand the meaning of leadership. Just the symbolism of a country where people are dying, really dying of starvation. I don't know about you, maybe you are luckier than me, but 70% of the text messages that come to my phone say, please, if it's just 1,000 naira, just send me. People I don't know. They find my number somehow and they're sending me this. In this kind of situation, in this kind of country, those who are in power think there's nothing wrong with saying that to get the form, it's not to become whatever, to get the form, you pay 100 million. Then you will spend some on imaginable amount of money to try and chase the office. Now, by the time you get the office, economics is a science of incentives. If you get the office with that level of investment, what will you do? Just tell me. Be honest with me. You will first recoup your investment. Come on. And the process of recouping investment can only do one thing: make the Nigerian people poorer. And so the ruling party is saying to us, our goal is to make you poor. It is not rocket science to come to some understanding of the disconnect between political elite in Nigeria and the Nigerian people. And so when Tinuke says, let's look at bottom up, she's, in my expectation, thinking about policies that are people-centered, policies that include the people in determining where the country is going, because it is in their common good interest, so that they can make this input. What's interesting is that Nigeria has experienced those kinds of flows in the past. Back in the 1950s, when Nigerians first took over the business of governing, self-government as it was, by 1956-57, the kind of factors that drove choice of the politicians were who will most bring progress to their people. Now, two American political scientists called Robert Melson and Howard Wolpe wrote a book about this. And they named that phenomenon competitive communalism, competing ethnic nationality groups on who will bring progress the fastest to their people. And let me give you some practical manifestation of that competition. Back in the 50s, the premier of Western region, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was accused of something by the National Broadcasting Service. And he wanted to reply, and they denied him. But every region could start his own broadcasting company. They didn't at that time. So he chose to start one in Ibadan, but chose to leapfrog to a new technology that was just emerging called television. Because of his choice, Ibadan had the first television station on the continent of Africa, WNTV. I went to Loyola College in Ibadan in the 60s, and I still remember the images of, TV coming on, and it goes, WNTV first in Africa. There was television in Ibadan before there was in Brussels, before there was in Dublin. And that was the fruit of that kind of. So what happened? The premier of Eastern Nigeria immediately started his own television station within weeks, literally. And since Ibadan was first in Africa, Enugu was second to none. First in Africa, second to none. So that was the kind of competition. It also happened with industry. We are not far from the very first industrial estate in this country, the Ikeja Industrial Estate. Again, that same premier. As self-government came, he realized that the future of economic growth was manufacturing. And the colonials had not started any manufacturing. I think it was only Federated Motor Industries and Nigerian Breweries that were the only manufacturing organizations in Nigeria as such at the time. And he quickly set up what is the Ikeja Industrial Estate and went to invite investors into that estate. The moment he started it, the one in Enugu started to start two in Aba and in Trans Amadi in Port Harcourt. They even used incentives to lure people. Pfizer had located in Ikeja. They lured them away from Ikeja to go and locate in Aba. The one in Kaduna started the Kakuri Industrial Estate, which will become the hub of Nigeria's textile industry. So, a bottom-up approach dominated economic development in Nigeria in the 1960s and led to rapid growth. Between 1956 and 1960 at independence, those self-governors had taken the share of manufacturing in GDP from next to nothing to 10%. And that growth continued. Now, somewhere along the line, there was what I like to call a convergence of two streams. Soldiers came to power and oil became a significant factor. This so-called, what I like to call dangerous alchemy of soldiers and oil produced a strong inclination towards top-down. This top-down approach to development was captured by an American political scientist, a friend of mine, I call Richard Joseph. He spent some years in the 70s teaching at the University of Ibadan. And Richard gave us the concept that we all now refer to as bureaucratic prebendalism. He wrote a book called Prebendal Politics in Nigeria. And that concept is that, in the Anglican Church, the vicar hands out prebends to his assistants. So people come from the regions or the states, whatever they are, to collect a handout from the man at the center. Now, this top-down approach, as contrasted with the bottom-up approach, has produced the kind of economic situation that we have in Nigeria today. So the question is, which is better, a top-down or a bottom-up approach? Well, let me turn to management science to kind of, if you will, bring some light into that conversation. And it was at Stanford years ago, a Belgium-born professor called Robert Bugelman. Bugelman tried to study the decision-making processes in organizations, top-down versus bottom-up. He gave an example of a classic top-down organization, which was IBM. IBM thrived in a particular time, continued to depend on its big men who built this great company to decide how things would go and use corporate planning to cascade down the decisions that they made. Small emerging companies like Intel depended on their people who were close to the customers, the young engineers, for a bottom-up approach to decision-making. We also, IBM began to go down so fast, it almost died until the board fired the entire management and went and recruited somebody who knew nothing about computers. They went to a company that made biscuits and hired a gentleman who came and then turned IBM around. And that gentleman would write a book about that experience, which was titled, Who Says Elephants Can't Dance? Louis Gessner Jr. wrote the book, Who Says Elephants Can't Dance, referring to his turnaround efforts at IBM. But what's even more important is that Bugelsman's conclusion is that it's not that top-down and bottom-up one is necessarily much better than the other. His suggestion was that to be effective, you need a combination of both top-down and management and bottom-up approaches, where the wisdom of those at the top meet the field feel of the people coming up from the bottom. So, in response to the question that our celebrant has posed about bottom up, I would like to say that we shouldn't also get too carried away, assuming that people-centered is always necessarily the best. It must be people-centered, but there has to be more. If you want to take as an example, take China. Back in the Mao era, Mao Zedong, great leader of China, it was people first. But people first without a thinking top meant that they democratized poverty. At the time I was leaving the University of Nigeria in 1977, Nigeria's GDP per person was twice that of China. And about that time, a new leadership emerged in China, led by, at the death of Mao, a guy called Deng Xiaoping. And Deng Xiaoping completely turned everything that Mao did on his head, focusing on education. I'm glad Mrs. Shuson is here. Education is the key to progress. Focus on raising knowledge and where China would be going. And one generation later, from being half of Nigeria's output per person, China has 30 times Nigeria's output per person. In one generation. So it's not just about being bottom up. That's the point about Bugelman. You need the thinking top and you need the input from the bottom. And this is where we are with the kind of progress that China has made in one generation. So if this is where we are and what we should be thinking in terms of how these differences take place, the point must be that we need a people-centered approach, but we need leaders who have the vision capacity, who have the knowledge, who have a sense of service, who are compassionate towards the people. Their work is what will turn the fortunes of our people around. In the last 300 years or so, the fortunes of the human race have changed dramatically. They have changed dramatically, significantly, because general thinking in the West began to focus on talent rather than your birth. You were born by this, you're an aristocrat, you are this, you're that. The greater focus on talent, on knowledge and development, captured brilliantly in a book that I think most people should read. I actually have my copy of it with me. It was written by a fellow called Adrian Woolrich. And the book is titled The Aristocracy of Talent, How Meritocracy Made the Modern World. The Aristocracy of Talent, How Meritocracy Made the Modern World. And you will see how much the human race has made progress because it has focused more and more on the knowledge and capacity of people. And so a big question I always ask myself is, why does Nigeria fare so badly? How did Nigeria manage somehow to ignore what the entire human race has captured? The aristocracy of talent. We are led by those who think the least amongst us. We're led by those who have the least capacity amongst us. How did we manage to stand how the rest of the world thinks on its head? If you check out those who run for president in America, a good many of them they may not use the title. Barack Obama is a professor of constitutional law, by the way. But in Nigeria, it's those who we can't find their first leaving school certificate that are likely to win the election. It should not be a surprise that we are where we are. There's no rocket science to it. Leadership, really seriously, is about how people who know can be compassionate, and with their compassion and knowledge provide a path that those who know that they care for them can key into and follow to get to where the country must go. And I'll close in 1 minute now. Where we are in our country, with all these troubles, with all these problems we have, is that we have a huge and growing population with a very hopeless situation. Many of these young people don't see the possibilities of tomorrow. Yet, that youth bulge could be our way forward. Just investing appropriately in the education of these young people will enable us to get a demographic dividend out of them. Investing enough in their health will mean that well educated, they are well enough to solve the problems that are before us. But we are not focusing on investing in our young people. This is why we must commend the kind of work that our celebrant today is doing with young people. Because you need to equip these young people to bring out their leadership talent that would lead to their creating a producing society. Let me give you an idea of something I've spoken about in the last week or two. I have said that if I were elected president of Nigeria today, I will put every unemployed graduate, polytechnic, university to work within 1 week of the election. Pay them at least 100,000 naira a month each. The first reaction is, where will you find the money? Where will you find the money? Plenty places. If you even just cut half of what they steal in Abuja, it is enough. And I can tell you, I know where they are stealing it from. I know them. Just cut that, you will get this money I'm talking about. Okay? But let's even leave the one they are stealing. See, our planet is in peril. We're struggling with the environment. And the world desperately needs a country like Nigeria to create its forests, to stop the Sahara's advance. If you recruit all these young graduates, pay them 100,000 a month, and between 8 a.m. and noon, they are part of a green army that just do environmental things. I can get you $3-4 billion that will come from outside to pay Nigeria for doing that. And we'll use it to pay these people. But it's not just paying them for that moment. It's not a sustainable thing. So that between 12 noon and 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., they are in what I call executive vocational education programs. They will learn those skills that you will need in the new manufacturing that must be Nigeria's way out. And then I will implement a latent comparative advantage program based on the country's factor endowment that will enable us to be competitive on global value chains. And those people will move within 1 year from just building that green wall to running factories that will produce for the world. Nigeria can be the next China. And we can produce our way out of this poverty. And I am saying here, if I can't do it in 5 years, execute me in public. we can double GDP output in Nigeria within 5 years. It took United States 60 years to do it. It took Britain 50 years. A great miracle was announced when it took Japan 35 years, but it then took South Korea 11 years. With technology and all of that, if you cannot double GDP in Nigeria in 5 years, you don't have a brain. Thank you. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please celebrate Professor Patutomi, a political economist, a man that needs no introduction in Nigeria economy, a man that has been very passionate about the development of Nigeria. He started the Patitos gang in 1980, and he has interviewed and brought solutions. And we hope that these are the things, we'll not just listen to them, we'll begin to put them into act. And that's what this organization for the love of the country is passionate about, making things very easy, teachable. I sincerely appreciate you, sir. You know what it takes to bring Dr. Patutomi to come speak for even 10 minutes, and he's taking his time to be here from a girl child that was forced to watch Patitos gang as a child by her father. A few years after, they are sitting on the same table. You can see how proud your father is, how proud your mother is. It can only come from a dream and from a vision. You might not understand. We might not understand. We were thinking we were wasting our time now. And now I could see the smile in your father's face. I could see Antinike, as she's fondly called your mom, and all of your mothers and siblings that are seated here today. Like I said, I've known her for a very long time. I mean, I met her 7 days ago. It's a long time, but our conversation has gone beyond us. So it's a privilege. We sincerely appreciate you. So we'll go straight right away. Like you said, we started behind schedule. Just while we were speaking, we rightly introduced a woman that is passionate about one of the things Professor Patutomi talked about. He talked about 3 important things that will move the nation. He talked about education, and education, both from the high and the low. And we have a woman that is passionate about education. No wonder she was the former commissioner of Lagos for education for Lagos State before she was promoted to being the deputy governor of Lagos State. Can we celebrate Princess Sarah Adibisi-Johnson? Can we celebrate her? She was the deputy governor of Lagos State also. I talked about that. Yes. OF. Can we celebrate? We celebrate you, ma. Thank you so much for joining us. And also, we omitted, out of the passion that Tinike was, one of our speakers also, Mr. Tokwe Fashion. Can we celebrate Mr. Tokwe in our midst? An amazing man that I'm sure Wemimo will do proper introduction. But if there's anyone that I know that has taken education, has been passionate from the 1980s, he got into one of the prestigious universities in 1982 and graduated best graduating student first class in 1986 in accounting. Can we celebrate once again GNI in our midst? We celebrate you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Can we celebrate him? He went to University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. And I'm passionate because I also went to University of Obafemi Awolowo University for my wife's convocation. That was the last time I went there. She was the one that went to Obafemi. I tried writing JAM, but JAM in Kumoya Sakwada. So at this time, I'd like to invite an OAP, and she's going to be joining us to handle this segment to introduce our speakers, our panelists. Can we celebrate Bemimo Adewuni, the OAP from Nigeria Info? Can we celebrate her, please? Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you failed to attend OAU. I'm a proud OAU alumnus. Maybe we'll give you another opportunity to write the JAM. I mean, if you don't go to OAU, I don't know where you went to. It's such a pleasure to be here. I must say happy birthday to you, madam. This is really fantastic. The keynote address from Professor Patutomi sets the pace for our conversation today. I mean, and I think it was a very bold statement to say if you can't fix it in 5 years, you don't have anything upstairs. In fact, it makes a bold statement to say, if he doesn't do it in 5 years, what did he say? Did you guys catch that? I went, ooh, that was very bold. Thank you very much for that keynote address. So we're going on to the panel session. My name is Wemimo Adewuni. As I rightly introduced, I'm a broadcast journalist with Nigeria Info. And if you want to talk conversations, development, do yourself a favor. Just keep your radio locked to 99.3 Nigeria and development. It's my pleasure to be here. I'll introduce our panelists. We'll try to keep to 1 hour. I believe that's what we've got. 45 minutes. That's going to be tough with the lineup I have here. That will be very tough. So I'll introduce my panelists. As they come up, please do me a pleasure by putting your hands together for them. I'll start by welcoming the former Deputy Governor of Lagos State. It's my privilege to welcome you, ma'am. Princess Mrs. Sarah Adebisi Shoso. Please come into the stage, ma'am. That applause can be better. That's why we're here. Please put your hands together for her. You're welcome, ma'am. Please keep clapping until she sits. Until she sits. That's why we came, right? That's why we came. Thank you very much. I'd also like to introduce the Honorable Kayode Okpeifa. I believe he's here. The former Transportation Secretary, Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos State. Is he here? He's on his way. Okay, he'll join us as soon as he's here. I'd like to also welcome Mr. Joseph Edgar is an investment banker. How he combines that with theater production, he's going to explain to us today. Please put your hands together for him as he comes on stage. I need that applause to be better, please. Let's keep clapping until he sits. Thank you very much for being a warm audience. Please keep clapping for him. Thank you very much. You're welcome, sir.
Too comfortable to celebrate.
Okay, I'd also like to welcome now Mr. Boyega Isiaka GNI. Currently running, so I'm going to be tasking you here, is currently contesting for the Ogun West senatorial seat. He was a former gubernatorial candidate also in Ogun State. Please help me put your hands together for Boyega Isiaka as it comes on stage. Please be a warm audience. Help me clap and welcome them to the stage. You're welcome, sir. I can promise you that you're going to have a fantastic session here. By no means the least, please help me welcome Mr. Tope Fashua. He's a chartered accountant, a public policy analyst. He writes up a storm. He writes up a storm. Please help me put your hands together for him as he comes. Again, that's why you came. So please put your hands together for him. You're welcome to the stage, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think if I begin to give gifts to those who, can I have a packet of sweets as gifts? There's a cold, so maybe that would help. Thank you very much. So as soon as we have our final panelists who'll be joining us, I'd like to also welcome the celebrant of the day. She'll be joining me to do this. Please, because it's a birthday and it's because of her we're here, I'd like you to give a resounding applause. Please help me welcome Mrs. Atinuke or Jenima as she comes on stage to join me. You cannot do less than clap very well for her. You cannot do less. That's why you're here. You can't do less. Come on, you can do better than that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so now that our panelists are set, we're going to pass the microphone around in that order. Yes, as we go around. I think there's one here. We can have one in between. They can both share that. Why don't they both? Okay. All right, so let's start right away now, shall we? Yes, so the theme for today. Yes, so we're starting right away. And the theme for today is very instructive. If there's anything you would miss, I think this theme will jump at you. Accelerating. So let's do, yes, I will. Let's do a run-off by, let me ask the audience, so that I like us to be participatory. What does it mean to accelerate? How many of us drove here today? Oh yeah, now, please respond. You drove here today. The roads were quite free, right? So when the roads are free, it's a privilege in Lagos, right? So what do? Please talk to me. What do? You press it down because what? The roads are free and it's a privilege, right? Because tomorrow is Monday and everywhere will be blocked. So you accelerate. Accelerating nationwide development that goes across the nation via bottom-up approach. So that's a very systemic topic and a theme that we'll be talking about today. Right, so we'll pass the microphone right to the panelists. So I'd like to start by asking it's quite a general question, but it's good for a conversation starter. And I'd like to know what the Nigeria of your dream is. I know that we all have, my son, the oldest one, loves to tell me, oh, Mom, I wish I was born in London. It's always London. And I say, well, if God made you here in Nigeria, you had better work it up. So what is the Nigeria of your dream? I'll start off with Princess Shoso.
Thank you.
Do we have the sound across the house? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. And most especially to our keynote speaker, I want to say thank you very much. I've been here earlier and decided to while away the time. And by the time I called back, I discovered that the program has started. Tinuke Ojenigba, I've tried. Let me first and foremost say congratulations to you. I'm meeting Tinuke for the first time today. Yes. She wrote to my foundation. And you know, when you see young people that are quite passionate and committed to making this country better, you don't do otherwise than identify with them. Today is a Sunday. You know, a Sunday means different things to different people. For me, I go to church and go back home to rest. But because I believe in so much in you, and I was carried away that a young lady, and said the country, what's that name again? The love of my country. Wow. I don't know how many of us in this room have that kind of love for this country, no matter the challenges, no matter the insecurities, no matter the weak leadership, as has been mentioned, which many of us know as well, considering many things that have been happening. And for you to still have that love, to me, that is patriotism. And when we discussed, I called, I've not been around, and she now told me it's a bottom-up thing. I said, yes. She doesn't want to use that word that we bandy around, especially the politicians. Grassroots. I told her I agree with her that indeed bottom-up. But like our keynote speaker has explained to us, it's not only about bottom-up alone, it is a mixture of both. It has to come together. So the Nigeria that I desire as a teacher, first and foremost, is access to quality education, access to quality health, access to good infrastructure. You know, as a country, we mention, oftentimes many of us that have the opportunity to always travel, we say it's good here, it's good here. Who are the people that made it good? It's the citizens. So I want a nation that the citizens will be committed. The citizens will be involved as well. It is not just condemnation. Citizen of problem solvers, where we will come up with solutions, not just condemnation. Let me just stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Let me go on to Mr. Tope Fasho. I'm going to ask you the same question. What's the Nigeria of your dreams? And you can add one step to that. what's the biggest challenge? I mean, I think Professor Patty told me totally just threw all of us. What's the biggest challenge to us achieving this? In your own assessment, one biggest challenge.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm just meeting Tinuke today as well, even though her dad actually commandeered me from Abuja to come for this event. And it's great. One of the first remarkable thing is seeing a lady who decided not to do what slay queens do on her 40th birthday. And you're slay. I mean, you slay. Everybody knows you slay. But it's remarkable to have a symposium on this. There's something intellectual that actually uplifts us. It's very much out of the box, if you ask me. So you've asked the question, what is the, well, I try not to answer questions in absolutism. I'd say, give me one, give me three. When I was in university, and, I managed to try a bit like GNI. I was one of those people that used to call for extra paper a lot. Extra paper. Yeah, I was known for that, so I like to elaborate on that. My write-ups are very long. Anyway, but yes, but aside from leadership, which we know is a challenge, and I always challenge that concept as well, of leadership being a challenge, because the leaders come from among the followers. And indeed, from my knowledge of econometrics and statistics, if you're choosing from among a population, bad samples, 1, 2, 3, by the time you get to like 10, you can conclude that that population itself is bad. Now, are we bad? No, we're not. Just today, I shared something on my Facebook page. A Nigerian man sitting somewhere on a bench somewhere in the US, and a white man approached him and said, "Oh, please, my friend, I've not eaten today. Please, can you spare?" And immediately, he put his hand in his pocket and gave him something. Where are you from? I said, "I'm from Nigeria." You know what? This is actually a prank. I wanted to see if he would give me something. I have $1,000 to give anybody that gives me anything today. And he got that $1,000 from that man. Nigerians are good people. So how can the good people be having bad leaders? I think there are two of us who have run for I said, we must run for this presidency. Must run for. On that day, he demurred. He said, no. He doesn't think. But 2 years later, he ran for president. Myself, too, after the disappointment of the current administration, by 2016, I moved a few guys to form a party called ANRP. Your dad, I think he almost joined us. Maybe half-heartedly, yeah. Let me not reveal him to his APC colleagues here. So and then of course I ran in 2019, and I asked Tinuke, I said, Tinuke, when are you joining politics? He said, you do something like this, so I'm bringing people together. This. When he called me yesterday, the discussion we had was yesterday. The discussion we had was around that same topic. Okay, we have discussion about the failures of Nigeria, failures of leadership, but the point then becomes, like your son asked, who is going to develop Nigeria if the youth don't take it? If you don't take the gauntlet, you don't seize the gauntlet and move with it. You have the numbers. But wait, there's something I heard Denzel Washington say. If you can fly, fly. But if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. By all means, keep moving. That's my own mantra. I would have loved for someone to notice that I was in my corner. Markets and derivatives. I have a PhD in public policy. But if you are not coming to pick me and say, "Oh, you are the best thing since sliced bread," okay, come and be minister or whatever. What am I doing myself? I have to do something. And so we went and created a party. We did our best. I got 4,360 votes in the election. None of you here voted for me, but I forgive you all. But you know what? I would have run a much better ship than what we have right now. 350% inflation. All right, on staple ordinary gas from 3,000 to 8,500 naira. One egg from 15, 20 naira to 80 naira. One egg. A bag of rice from 8,000 to 30,000 naira. And you know, we're still trying to continue with status quo. I say that's unacceptable. So I think that aside from the leadership problem, we need to have ownership of our country. I think that even if the older ones have failed, the young ones must not fail. I think that perhaps what we need the most is that understanding of self-sacrifice. I think what we need to understand the most is that this country, there's just buying to make back to back. When we have those things there, nobody's patronizing them. That one is not the time for wine. Because I think that if I may answer your question, the point is understanding that this is a country to die for. This weather, you go out there. If the white man had this weather, we would all be paying to go and enjoy it. We'll be paying. Sometimes we go there, we say we just want snow. You want where you're coming from, you can't stand it. There are places we go to that six months out of 12 is snowing or it's so cold. Look at what we have. Summer all year round. And we say, oh, it's such a bad. Please, young people, don't join them. They said, may Nigeria happen to you. I said, what do you mean by that? I want Nigeria to happen to me. I would have stayed back in the UK after my master's, but somehow, Oluwanimi Fishe, I applied 4 times. They rejected 4 times. I came back to my country. Who am I? Will I apply for Prime Minister in the UK? At least I have that in my CV now, former presidential candidate. Only a few people, maybe 1 in 10 million people will do it. It's true. Never join them in running down your country. There's nothing wrong with this country. And all of those problems are challenges. 15 million children out of school, educational problem. But I see teachers. I see building blocks for students. I see social services. I see a platform for unity and greatness. If we could try and solve that problem, I think we're going to get there one day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me make a quick announcement. If your car, how many of you, by the way, know your vehicle number plate? Do you know the number on your plate? LND 84HK. I think it would be good to know what brand of car is it. Some people don't know what numbers they carry around town. But if you know your number plate and it's LND 84HK, please, we need it to repark. Thank you. Now, again, bold statements here. We're not on radio, so I'll let some of those things go. But let me go on to GNI, who is a politician, actively so. I'm in the midst of politicians. Now, even Prof is a politician. So we have politicians here telling us, when he said Nigeria is one to die for. Somebody exclaimed from that side. I wasn't sure if it was a sign of happiness, joy, sadness, or fear. Like, oh, I'll pass. Okay, now let me ask you. You're a politician, sir, and the elections are drawing up here. The theme for this year emphasizes on the bottom-top approach. Prof mentioned in the keynote address, 100 million naira to buy a form for one of the very prominent political parties. And I hear citizens, some citizens, because I work actively on radio every day, calling and say, well, that's how we separate the boys from the men. We want to know if you're good to run in the race or not. If you can't pay 100 million naira, what are you looking for? And my topmost question always is, how much is the salary you're gunning for? If you spend 100 million naira to buy a ticket, billions to campaign, how much is your salary per month? As a politician, how do you think we can change the orientation of citizens? Like you said, the leaders come from us. And these are the leaders we currently have. What are we missing? What could we do better?
Well, thank you very much. Let me join in congratulating the celebrant. I'm also meeting her for the first time this afternoon. We spoke like 3 or 4 weeks now when a friend introduced me to this, and I wanted to know the person behind it. And after a few minutes of hearing her, I said this must be one of the serious ones that we have around, and that's what has brought me here. And I'm not disappointed from all that we have had. We need more of her, and I think that's the thing. I also greet the keynote speaker and everybody here. Well, I think what we are missing really, and I think Tokwe is the first one, right? Tokwe said it, is that we keep blaming leaders and leaders and leaders, whereas a society will have the kind of government it deserves and the kind of leaders it deserves. And one example I've used, that is very glaring to me is the Senate election that was held in Lagos State after the NSAS. I would have thought that with the level at which we took the polity around that NSAS, the awareness, the criticisms, the movement, then all that happened, I was expecting to see that reflected in that Senate election. Even if the person that won the election still won the election, by virtue of the structure that that party and that leadership have in this state, I was expecting that to see at least one small party somewhere that the youth that did all of those NSAS will say, for the reasons and all of this is the person we want to vote for. But it wasn't reflected. Meaning that it's all about noise, that it's all about criticism. This is not reflected because we have all, voted for democracy. One man, one vote. It's only when we come out, even this one we are talking about, this one of 100 million naira form. There are other parties that have their form is almost free. But will the people vote for them? How many people in this room will come out to vote on that day? Toko mentioned getting 4,000 votes. I have been to the polls 3 times, as a governorship candidate. And I can tell you all the things that is involved in it. It's very discouraging. I want people like us, that by virtue of, our experience, little capacity that we have, if we are not encouraged, the polity will be left for the less to do people. And these are the kind of things we are going to have. So I think that the solution to it is with the followers, is with the people. This is government of the people, by the people, as we call it. Let the people come at our own base. Let them vote for the likes of, Tokwe Fasters, who probably, yes, they are not with the big, big parties, but they have something to offer. Let them do it, and then we'll begin to see this, to see this shape. But if we decide to leave politics for some set of people, it is too dirty. we don't want to be involved. On the day of elections, we cross our legs and be watching what is happening on channels or watch it on PVC, and then we will not come out. These things will going to continue. I will not be there. Oh, of course. Then after the people we have even now elected our leaders, particularly the ones in the legislation, are we even showing interest in what they are doing? If we expect that a bill is coming to the National Assembly or the State Assembly, and these are our views about it, are we showing interest? Are we showing interest in what we want our representatives to do on those bills? If we are not, they will go there and do whatever they like. So my own, reaction to the question is that it's all about us. It's all in us. And I repeat, we continue to have the kind of government we deserve. Let us all be involved in this. There are, I think, 18 political parties in this country. If somebody is selling for 100 million, I would think that the people that are buying those 100 million is not the kind of leaders that we have. Let's go and look for the people that are not buying. I was checking one this afternoon, I think PRP or something. Although I don't belong to that, their own is I think 500,000 or something like that. So if those are the ones that we have, then the other people will know that by the next election they have to behave. The people will come out. But if we don't, and the election comes, and we still have only a few people that comes out, and they still vote for those kind of people, then we are going to continue along this cycle. So I think it's a lot in our hand before we even start talking about the leadership and the leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you, Princess Mrs. Sarah Sosol. Thank you, Mr. Joseph Edgar. Thank you, GNI. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Tope Fastua. And of course, my co-moderator today, you beautiful. Thank you so very much. Okay, of course, everyone now knows that I spoke with them and we are all kind of meeting for the first time. And please kindly, I want everyone to please kindly celebrate them for me, because all we had was just a conversation, like twice or thereabout, and they are convinced to be here. And I want to thank them for honoring this small girl. I think I'm still a small girl, right? Right? Small girl at 40, isn't it? All right, thank you so very much. Okay. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to direct my question to Mr. Joseph Edgar. Mr. Joseph Edgar, I know you are prepared for me, and I'm also ready for you. Okay, so I saw what you wrote, and I'm like, wow, okay, so let's go there. All right, so what's actually your perspective on this theme? What's your perspective? We've already heard Professor Pat Utomi's keynote address, and I clearly got his perspective. And he said it, that it's not just only bottom up alone, but also bottom up with a what? With a top thinking head, and which I think that really, that's true. So what's your perspective about this?
Sorry, perspective about what? Let me understand it.
Accelerating nationwide development via bottom-up approach. And I just explained Professor Pat Utomi's perspective about it, about how it's not just only bottom-up, but also thinking it from the top thinking.
Okay, before I attempt to answer the question, I'm not sure I will have an answer to that question. Let me also congratulate you on your 40th.
Thank you.
Also, like everybody else on this panel, say categorically that I've never met you in my life before. And I really don't know why I'm here and what I'm doing here. My friend Yamisho Dimu called me sometime last week and asked if I could be here. My play was supposed to come up today, 24th April. Baba Kekere play on Latif Jakonde and what he did in education. But the government keeps saying postpone. So that's why I'm here. That said, I I think what we have in the country right now, and I have very strong views and very controversial views. I think what we have in the country right now is a failure in followership.
Failure in followership.
Yeah. We do not have any failure in leadership. There's nothing wrong with our leaders. Our leaders are what they are because of who we are. We are very funny people, with all due respect. We are the most unserious set of human beings in this world. That's the honest to God truth. My guy here, Mr. Ajay, and I, when I met him last when he was at Lead Bank, I was a struggling stockbroker and all of that. And then it was at Gateway at some point. I said it, that society, that we get the kind of leadership that we have. So we did all of that noise with NSAS. We jump up, we jump down, we bonfire, we run away, we come out, we naked, we this, we that. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks after that, nobody comes out for the election. And the mainstream structure still riding short over us. But I believe very strongly in this country. I want everybody to listen very carefully here now. There's nothing wrong with this country. I'm very, very optimistic that this country is going to find itself very, very soon. I believe in what they call a natural selection. Anybody can want to be head of state 600 times, want to be president 700 times, control Lagos, keep Lagos for his mother-in-law, all of them. There's a natural selection that's going to occur. You will die. And at that point, if we are very serious people, we will prepare ourselves for that transition. Do you get? So it's going to get to a point where we are seeing people now, somebody's jogging around the stadium in Port Harcourt, somebody else cannot climb stage, another person is talking like they gave him 700 blues on his head. You know, there's natural selection occurring. So if we are very serious-minded people, we should begin to take advantage of that natural selection in bringing about the kind of leadership that would take us to the next level. What we need, and that's why I'm excited about this session. I looked at the theme, you know, and it sits very perfectly with things that some of us have been saying. You know, if you look at the economy, I'm not an economist, that's Dr. Fasho and Professor, but what I can see is that there are pockets of positive developments that has nothing whatsoever to do with government, that is making waves. You call the entertainment industry, you call the fintech industry, you call services, you call logistics. Government don't even know what is happening there. They don't even know how to regulate it. They're just looking at the whole thing like mumu people. They just, you know, they call. They say, Edgar, how can we regulate crowdfunding? I do theater, and I beg you, I'm going to drop some very major figures there. Nobody's going to kidnap me. It's not my money. In 4 years, I've done 1 billion naira in theater. The only government that's given money is Lagos State government and Akwa Ibom government. 2 of them combined is 20 million naira. Nothing. I've done 1 billion naira in theater. We have created over 5,000 jobs in 4 years. Without, wait, don't clap it. It's not a clapping matter. Without any input of government. So when people wake up and say, I'm crying for government, you are wasting your time. Government is broke. Government needs help. The honest to God truth is that government needs help. The only way we can solve this problem is to have an economic revolution driven by private wealth.
Fantastic.
I have told them in Akwa Ibom, I'm from Akwa Ibom State. They say, I was drop microphone because I'm a very shy person, so I start wobbly and then I get very strong and I don't know how to drop microphone again and all of that. But you see, I'm very passionate about these things. In Akwa Ibom, we have no business being where we are with the kind of economic indices that we are recording in Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom is a rich state naturally, you know, with human capital and otherwise. Are you getting me now?
But we have what we call a continuous inflow of grassroots leaders. Who is a grassroots leader? A grassroots leader is that fool that waits for money from the center and shares it among all his people. As the money is reducing from the center, he becomes ineffective. What we need is entrepreneurial leadership. What we need is leaders or followers who understand the power of private wealth, how they can galvanize private wealth to create jobs, build infrastructure. Then you pay government the tax, the government can steal the tax, no problem. Small example, I have done 12 major productions. Somebody said, come to Akwa Ibom. We are from Akwa Ibom. I said, okay, no problem, let's go to Akwa Ibom. We go to Akwa Ibom with a budget of 28 million naira. I got an approval for 15 million naira. I will not tell you how much of that money reached my pocket. You can be sure it was very far from that 15 million naira. The 15 million that left the government purse, when it got to me, it looked like those 7 cows in Egypt that were skinny. And the money came to me 3 months after the production. So we have done the production, we have come out to Lagos, the money has not come. So when I was going back the second time, I said, I don't want to have anything to do with government. Everybody begged me, come and apply, come and apply, come and apply. I am not interested. I work with private wealth, raised more than double the initial money that I raised, created jobs, impacted the system without government. And I invited the government people to come and see what private wealth can do. If we extrapolate this into all other industries, all other sectors, you will agree with me that at the end of the day, we will be paying government. Becoming a senator, becoming a presidential candidate will be unattractive. Who is the chief of army staff of US? You don't know him. You don't need to know him. But everybody is interested in who is the IG of police. Everybody interested in who is because of concentrated of power. You guys now, we need to diversify common sense in this country. That's why I thank you. God bless you.
Wow. Well, I think you missed the introduction when it says it's been in theater, because that was quite dramatic, but very insightful, and I can't disagree with you. However, there's some disagreement I have with some of the things that said here. And some of us might have heard this story of a couple of monkeys that were kept in a room. A banana was placed at the top of a ladder. Once one of the monkeys tried to climb up to pick the banana, cold water is put on every other monkey. All the other monkeys pull him down. When another monkey tries to go up, they spray water on the other monkeys. They by themselves pull down that monkey that keeps trying until no monkey tried reaching the banana anymore. It became a mental conditioning. I'm coming to GNI, and because we're focusing on the bottom to top approach. Now, again, in my own work with the populists on radio every day, here are 2 things I've identified that's holding people back. And number 1 is poverty. Now, most Nigerians are trapped in the cycle of trying to make a living that they can care less about what politicians are doing. And you'd agree with me that the policies that politicians make overall influence where we all are at today. Secondly, there is a fear. Wrap that up with some kind of helplessness and hopelessness in this dream called Nigeria. Some will tell you that from the military era, Nigerians were whipped into submission. You made references, I think about 3 times now, to the NSAS movement. What happened at the NSAS, at the tollgate, is still a matter wrapped up in mystery, because even despite tribunal sittings, welcome, Prof, nothing in that real sense has happened. So how do we reboot this hope? This idea of Nigeria is something to actually die for. When you see people who die for that dream, and their dreams die along with them. Number two things: poverty, fear, and hopelessness.
Well, apologies. Prof would like to leave, but would like to really take a group picture with you, if you don't mind, with all the panelists. Mr. Topper, sir, we need your attention, sir. Okay, sir, please. Can we once again appreciate our keynote speaker, Professor Pat Tommy? Sorry, that's not part of the program. Nothing to worry about. But we have two exits, one there, one there. Yeah. Prof will be in the middle. Prof will just be in the middle. Yes, Prof should be beside the bride. Sorry, beside the celebrant. Mr. Gentleman, where are you, sir? Mr. Gentleman, can we celebrate the chief host? Mr. Gentleman, can we please hold? Sir, please, we'd like to get your attention. Sir, please. Hello, sir. Please, sir. Yes, our husband, yes. Can we celebrate the chief host? Can we celebrate the Oga? Yes, yes. Can we celebrate this amazing, secured man? Please stay close to your bride. So, I mean, your wife. Yeah. Yes. All right, photographers. No, this is the only country where you see a photographer taking pictures and they're the ones smiling. All right. Cheers, let's go. Thank you so much. Once again, we appreciate Professor Pat Tommy. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, one more.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof, for that opening. So I'm getting back to the question. Bottom-up approach, but we have a huge number of citizens who are wrapped up in poverty, and they just want to eat, right? They just want to make a living and feed their children for that day. They can't be bothered about any other thing else. And then you've got the hopelessness from, oh, we made an attempt. The water was flushed down on the monkeys. Let's never try again.
All right, thank you very much. Straight to it. On the issue of poverty and the circle of it, I think the whole essence of this bottom-up approach is to actually address that a lot more importantly. If development, growth and development is about reducing the poor, the poverty level that we have in a society, the idea of bottom approach is to ensure that those poor are also involved in the planning. Let's bring this down. Professor Otomi did a fantastic job in looking at it from the global point of view, between the regional government that I used to have in those days and then the federal, almost like a unitary government that we have now, and the kind of competition that we have between those governments at that time, and that within those regions, a lot was happening. And then from there, they make a lot of things and then they dovetail it up. But bringing it down to homes, which is now the one we are talking about, is that institutions should be put in place and systems should be put in place that will allow the people, the poor, to have, a say in the planning that they're having. And when you look at literature and some other part of the world where this has been practiced, non-government organizations, microfinance institutions, local governments, civil societies, community development associations, all of these have participated a lot in planning and development process, and such that it has direct impact in reducing the level of poverty that we have. I would think that is what I will want us to advocate. Of course, like he said, there is no one is saying now that top bottom is wrong in its entirety. There are certain areas of our development that we have to leave to come from up. For instance, when we have to fight COVID, we cannot leave COVID for it to be fought at the lower level. The policy has to come from up, the direction has to come from up, and all of that. But there are a few other things that will have to be done, down there. And I think that is what we are talking about. There are quite a lot of. The other thing that's also very important is the institutions that we have. Because one of the major challenges that we have, even with this top bottom, is that we have very weak institutions, such that even when the policies are made, either physical policies, economic policies, monetary policies, or whichever, which institutions that we have to implement some of these things, those institutions are weak. And that is one of the reasons why it is better that we take it down. And that's why I am very happy with this system, this topic that we have out here today. Let us strengthen, we have 3 tiers of government. Let us strengthen the 3rd tier, the local government. Let's put a lot of resources there. Those are the people that are closer to the, to the people, such that the people can have a feel of what they're talking about. It is easier for us to have CDAs and all of that, participating in policies of local government, than that of the federal government. So if we keep resources at the center, how many people are involved in it? By the time they even make those policies, how do they trickle down? The institutions are weak. They cannot even get down there. So I think that is it in the issue of the first part of the question. In terms of hopelessness, actually, it takes two to tango. On one hand, we need the right leadership to drive the system, to motivate. But on the other hand, we need a lot of, Chinukes that believes in the system, that believes in what we are doing here. And I think that's what Tope is also talking about. The problem, one of the challenges that we have is that on our own, we have a lot of people have, accepted defeat in most of the things that we are doing. I think we don't have any other country other than here. We have the resources, we have the potentials, we have all of this. Talk about anyone, there's none that we don't have. Now, because we now have bad leadership, as we put it, and we are also not participating enough in changing that leadership, which is also a problem. I think these are the things we need to correct. All what we need for us to have the hope, for us to know that there's a better tomorrow, is all within us here. There is no part of this country that doesn't have its own resources. Even if today we decide to go to full federal structure, and all states stand on their own and manage their own resources, everybody has it. But the problem is that this issue of oil, concentrating in one aspect of our economy, which is oil, has kind of discouraged a lot of these things. I think we need to address that, and we also need to talk to ourselves. We just need to, that hope to come from us, because we have everything that we need in order for us to do it. To get what to look at the kind of numbers he's talking about. From the numbers he said, government has only given him only 20% of his revenue in a year. There's no part of the world that cannot do that. We are all here today because we just had one enterprising young lady who spoke to me for just 5 minutes. I have to abandon most of the other things that I have to do to come and see, because we are looking for this kind of people all around the place. How many of them do we have? And it's not as if they don't have the potentials, but there are so many other things that is distracting them. I think those are the things that we need to correct, and we have all that we need to know how to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's address education. I mean, again, Professor Otomi set the pace for this conversation, and he emphasized on education and applying that knowledge, of course. Now, I think every contestant, whether at the governorship or presidential level, always harps on, quality education. We're going to reduce the number of out-of-school children, but we keep having more children getting out of school. Now, one of the problems I have seen, and I'm sure that Princess Churchson might have also identified this, is that the world is fast moving away from the kind of curriculum that we study in Nigeria. We still emphasize on the things I learned in school over 20 years ago is what my children are still being taught. When all over the world, 16-year-olds are acing in coding and computing, the world is moving fast. And we can't but wonder, why are we lagging behind when we see this is where the world is going? Why does it take us so long to catch up in terms of education? Princess Shoso.
Thank you very much. Everything rotates around education. And like we have mentioned, we are that the followership, some of our speakers there today, the followership has a lot to contribute. Why did I say so? I remember when I was in the office and in charge of education. And having been as a trained teacher and inspector of education as well, at least I was informed of some of the shortcomings of what we have of grounding education. So that helped me to quickly bring up what we can change. And thank God the kind of governor I had supported me to carry out those changes. And while we are going on doing all this, you know what the citizens, they were condemning us. Condemnation, why are they going out to say mushroom schools should operate? Even journalists. I told them in some instances, I said, you journalists should be our eyes. Yes, tell us areas we should work upon. There are some areas without schools that even on Sundays we go out to ensure that at least these areas they have schools. These children that they cannot going to pay to private schools or schools that they pay fees, they can attend. But not the one that will mar their lives with the kind of education they will get. You're running a school that you will have primaries 1, 2, 3, primaries 1, 2, 3 march together, 4, 5, 6 march together. Those were the kind of schools we had around, and which we said no. But the reaction from the public was not welcoming. That is just an example of what we faced there. Then concerning schools, we, on the spot assessment, this is where it has to do with leadership as well. If you don't go out there, you don't know where the problems are. You go out there and you know how to make education, even if it's not at that capacity that it should be in place. Each area at least should have something where the schools should go. That is one thing that I think is lacking. It's unfortunate that the commitments of many that are in charge of education is not there. If you have a commitment, you put everything that you have to make education to be spread across and led, because even if it's primary, since education you have, you can read and write, it makes a lot of difference. My mother only went to modern school, and if you see her writing English, most of the university graduates cannot stand it today. So those are the kind of education they received, and these are the kind of things our policy makers should always put in place. But rather, yes, I'm a politician. Sometimes we need to tell the truth. We concentrate on areas where that thing will come in, where more money will come in. It is not in education. You know, in education, you cannot get that kind of money. There are things you cannot see. I don't know what economists call them. There are some things that you cannot see physically in education, apart from the schools you want to build, apart from the equipment you want to provide. They don't do that. And the kind of money that we get from those also are not adequate for them. So that is why usually they don't put enough in those areas, which is critical. Another thing is that the personnel in the schools, you don't train them. So we continue to get that kind of education. The curriculum change, which is key. I want to disagree with you a little bit that most NERDC, they've done that severally, and we implementing. GNI mentioned that. When policies are there, who implements, who monitors that these policies are being run properly? Who enforces? Where are the sanctions when these things are not done? because I believe in enforcement and sanctions. So I was labeled as very wicked when I was there. Because I will not let you go. And you have to do what you are supposed to do. And because they will want to close up your mouth with gifts. I'm not praising myself. I never allow any teacher to bring anything to me. There was a principal, I went to this unannounced. I went to inspect the projects, and I went into our boarding school. Honestly, I was weeping that day because I know what they get. So these individuals, even within the system, what they do, I know what they get to run the schools. And seeing the toilet very bad, seeing the hostel, the beds, the bunks were broken, the children bathing outside, and the principal not around, the housemaster not around. I say, oh my God. You know, the following week, this woman came with a gold set. And you know, it's important. We are in a democracy and politics. We always have godfathers. If I had that power, I would have dismissed her on the spot. They begged for her. And I said she must leave that school. And that's why I said I thank God for the kind of principal I had. That is Mr. Fashola. He supported me. And the woman was removed from that school instantly. Curriculum changes. I remember, even at last today, transportational needs. So this is Lagos with the population. We need a course like transportation. It was introduced. Someone from abroad was brought in to come and head that department. And entrepreneurship was not something I think many were studying. One of my friends recently just got his doctorate rather, from University of Ilorin. So new courses are coming up. It's only that we need a lot of orientation even to our youth, our young ones, to deviate from all those old, business admin. Business admin course across every course. And those courses that are relevant to today's needs. He talked about fintech. We have agriculture. Agri-economics, even those who read these courses, are they being empowered to be able to use it and get more people to be involved? So most times, we don't even get the right people to manage the offices. I'm not condemning the Minister of Education or any Commissioner of Education, but the commitment, I think, is very key. As a person in charge of any office, not only in education, but everywhere. And we need a lot of orientation for our children. Sometimes I will hear, I'm a grandmother, so maybe I'm not in tune with what the youth do. They will say, now who education, how do they say, who education? Who education help? Education helps you. Because education makes you to be aware of what you should stand for. It makes you to be able to stand in your own right and say, no, I will not take it. So it helps. Please tell them, our youth, that education helps a lot. But that education, you use it to be creative, and we have many of them. He has mentioned it. Many of our youth are very creative. Very creative. You see many of them making millions. I know many of them as well, as he has mentioned. While some are there doing what do they do? Yahoo and ritual, sleeping with a corpse to make money. How is that logical? I don't know. I read a lot of comments on social media and I say, hey, God, did we not grow up in this country as teenagers? The kind of comments they make, we need a lot of orientation. Let them read. When they read white, they will be more informed. And they will Even if they read business admin, they can, soft skill can help them to get better. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. Ma, I have a question for you. Okay, so we're saying accelerating nationwide development via bottom-up approach. But why is it that in Lagos State, for example, I am of the opinion, and I stand to be corrected, that anyone who governs Lagos State is a potential president of Nigeria. All right. Okay. So when you were the Commissioner for Education, I mean, what were the things that government did to ensure that the reduction of the out of school children, is minimized? Number one. Then number two, even those within the school, what are government's deliberate efforts to see to the quality of education? I know you mentioned curriculum, but we can't also talk about quality of education without talking about the quality of the teachers, and I want to add to it that I know you will tell me that government did some certain things, but particularly what are the things that they did to ensure that it's wide scale, it's not just a concentrated area or just countable numbers of impact. You get what I'm saying? So because if government were doing something about out of school children, the numbers are increasing daily. So I'm thinking of what effect is the impact that government says they are making in education.
Thank you very much. Well, I will, before we even came in, it was Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that was the governor. And I was working at SUBEB then, State Universal Basic Education Board. And the damage to education then was undescribable. You want to see collapsed buildings, roofs. I cannot, like I said, it was undescribable. And quickly they started, let me mention Baba Kekere, Lateef Jakande's efforts first. Because those functional schools, we are meant to be gradually built into proper schools. That was not done. And we know how many benefited from those schools. That accounted for a huge collapse and for deficits in classrooms, in schools. But immediately they came in, they started building these schools. When we came in, like I said, if you don't go out there, you don't know. We went all around, but it was so much that it's not something you can do within 4 years. I will send the landmarks in education that I wrote, what I did there to you. The number of classrooms we put in place to replace all these schools that were bad. Furniture, we came up with furniture. We provided furniture. We provided books, textbooks, especially in the core areas. Biology, English, maths, what else? 4 areas, revolving kind of system. When you move forward, you leave the books, not that you take the books away. And the teachers as well. We introduced a lot of training that many even find it that this is getting too much. Then our teachers, we had assessment, asking them so that we know that we have qualified teachers, competent teachers in the classroom. It's been a long time, about 10 years now, but at least I can still remember a lot of things that we did. We introduced a lot of things to improve the communication skills. Even the forgotten Boy Scouts, Red Cross, those voluntary societies that we normally enjoy, we enjoyed. We introduced all that as well to bring up the value the commitment and everything. We introduced them back into the system. And I said, debate. The sciences we also improved upon. We built laboratories. How can you be doing science without having access to laboratories and out? So a lot of things were introduced, and that cannot solve the problems that have been over the years. And subsequent commissioners are supposed to follow up on what the foundation that had been laid. And I think till today now, they are doing that in Lagos State. But the population aspect, how we breed in this part of the world is another thing accountable for the problem we are having. We have out of school children. How do we cope with that? Me, even I was a policeman then. If I'm driving along, I see any child outside the school, what you are supposed to do, I will just pick you up and take you to my office. And we set up task force as well. We have to employ some security people, not security per se, but just to assist the gate man. No late coming, they see you outside, you are in trouble. And we have these community-based associations that we work together. You see any child outside, please bring them into the school. And we work hand in hand with them that education is not just government thing. It's for the whole community. So we had a lot of policies. We did organize, we did carry out there. But like I said, the population continues and the demand continues to increase. And even up to now, they are still building a lot. You can even see the commissioner to find some of the data, the numbers, so that you know that at least they are building on what the previous administrations have done.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I will need to wrap up shortly, but I know it's a symposium. You've been listening to us. I want to go to the audience for a bit. There's one big thing, the big elephant in the room, and that's corruption. I know that's a big conversation where you're talking
apart from corruption, I also want to say security. When we're talking about the bottom up, so we should begin to look at maybe perhaps the solution to the security issues we're having is we were able to have the kind of agenda for the grassroots. I'm sorry, for the bottom, for the bottom place. Yeah. So I think I want Mr. Tope Fashoa to say something about security at the bottom. We've spoken about entrepreneurship, where Mr. Joseph Edgar mentioned, and absolutely I agree with him. The impact of what young people are capable of doing even without government intervention. Yes, and which is true. So Princess Sarah Sosonto also mentioned about education. So let's quickly look into security, because of course, everyone, they say that Nigerians are leaving the country now because of security. So insecurity in the nation. What do you think, sir?
Thank you. Very quickly, you know that the basis for civilization itself is security. When you take civilization, the word comes from that Greek word that talks about living together in large communities. So that's where it is. And Thomas Hobbes did say, when he described the primitive society in which life was brutish, short and nasty, okay, that there was a time in which people came together to say that they surrendered their right to defend themselves to the government, so that government can defend them. Otherwise, if you come to my yard, I break your head. In fact, the truth was nobody owned any property. So if I'm going on the cow, if I see a cow, I take the cow. There was no way to define who owned what, and that was why people came together. But I'm going to approach your question from the prism of economics and what is called zombie economics. Every little child there knows what is meant by zombies. Zombies are dead people who are not dead. They're supposed to have been buried, but they are all moving around. Of course, it's fictional. The Igbo people introduced us to the concept of zombieism. But of course, Africans know that there are spirits as well. Here, we call them spirits. So there are some ideas that have been moving around, and that's why we have security problem in economics. Those of you who are in secondary are being taught those ideas now. Those of you who are in universities, you are being taught that idea now. And somehow, it's going to negate my friend Joseph Edgar a little bit, you know, in terms of his approach. He was an investment, oh yeah, he's still an investment banker. So there's a way they think. I left banking too in 2005. Okay, so the first idea is the concept of trickle-down economics. They say, oh, give the rich men the money. By the time they spend their own, some will come to the people. It is fake. It's a lie. It doesn't work. What we have realized, for those of us who still do research in economics, is that when you give the poor man the money, before they break, he will buy Dangote spaghetti, buy Dangote sugar. He will buy milk from Wamco. He will feed his family. He will buy cement to remove 1 or 2 blocks to finish his house. So we need to start focusing on that bottom up. That is where the bottom up. Number 2, comparative advantage. He says in the year 1720, a man called David Ricardo, he came and said, countries should concentrate on their advantage. So if you're an agricultural country, continue doing agri. It's fake. What we have realized is that it's a mass attack that the country must use. A country must think about how to produce everything its people need, including technology. Because a country like South Korea would have remained just a rice producer till tomorrow. But how did they break out? Including India. So trickle down is fake. We need to all get our minds into the fact that development is mass attack. Everybody must be producing, innovating, and thinking at the top of their ability. Another one is devaluation of currency, which is one of my sore points with this government now. Just devalue the currency. They will bring investment. Fake. Since 1986, we've been devaluing the currency of Nigeria. It used to be 60 cents, 69 kobo was $1. Look at us today, 580. I'll soon be done. So some of these ideas need to be thrown overboard. Austerity measure. In the time of Shagari in 1980, it was austerity measure. Say, tighten your belt. The people of Nigeria were tightening their belt, but the politicians refused to tighten their own belt. We just punish these people. One of the ideas of bottom up is what GNI mentioned. When I ran for president, I had an idea that, look, we need to invert the allocation formula. Give 40% to the local government, 35% to the state, 25% to the federal. But that 40% that goes to the local government must be jointly managed for one key reason. The local government is where our next spurt of growth, our next big advantage of growth will come from. We abandon them. You go to every state now, apart from the state capital, nothing is happening. If you are not connected to the governor, nothing is happening for you. So, very important. And lastly, I mentioned education is the most viable investment, especially in the... You know what? The biggest investment, the return on investment that you can get is from education, whether for yourself, for your children, or for your country or your state. The biggest return on investment, you know, investment bankers that talk about ROI, is in education. We want growth rate in Nigeria to take off. Focus on education, focus on the local government area. And I think what we had was we had a certain ideological capture. We say we are doing some sort of crony capitalism without capital. We then have to go and borrow the capital, borrow the technology, borrow the knowledge. What we used to know as factors of production, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship has been redefined. Where do you put information? Where do you put technology? Where do you put knowledge? The new factors of production that we must reckon with. Until we start thinking differently about our economy and realize that our best investment is in that human resource. 50 million children running about the street, whether in the north or south of Nigeria. We're not educating our people. Give them at least primary 6, like the Honorable Deputy Governor, Excellency said. That's what we need. And it is an emergency. Everybody has to come together to solve. The moment we start doing that, I tell you, the issue of security, we have to defend our country. And even somebody said recently, they said, look, you know, if you have to take 50 million youths to go and stop that problem, people laughed at him. I said, you don't understand that he's talking about a potential solution to that problem. We are the ones that will have to defend our country from the influx of terrorists, whether local or foreign or wherever it is they may come from.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, a round of applause for him. We're coming to the audience shortly, and you're not too young. No, I'm not talking about to run. You're not too young to comment, right? If you have an idea, I'll ask you, you raise your hand and come forward. We want all the ideas in the room. 1 minute, ma'am. We'll get a microphone around. But GNI needs to leave, so I'll give him the microphone to, well, I'm called the 60 seconds person on radio, but in a few minutes to wrap up for us the highlights here today, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I was taking an excuse to leave. You know, this is a very busy time for some of us. In the next month is a very important month for a lot of people, for the talkers of this world. You know, so well, corruption is really a major challenge that we have, and unfortunately, it has permeated everywhere, everywhere, and you know, even in football, you know, and therefore, it's a major problem. From the leadership, there are things to be done, and those institutions, how to make them work. A lot have been set up, EFCC, ICPC, and all of that. From the judiciary, we also have a lot of things to be done there. But from we, the people too, we also have our own role to play. There was this policy of whistleblowing, where, you know, once you see one or two things, you should make a report. I don't know how many of us have done that. Then the extent to which we also encourage, when election time comes, you are supposed to go and vote for the best candidate or for political party that you want. But when you begin to make demand on the candidates, you are also laying a foundation for corruption. Because the issue is that where do you expect all of these monies to be coming from? Therefore, we all need to play our own role in this. Of course, the judiciary is the final arbiter in all of this. And we expect that when cases come to them, you know, they give the right judgment so that we can lay foundations. But just as we are doing this, we are the ones that determines who our leaders are. Permit me that I keep repeating this, but maybe because I've experienced it before, in 3 consecutive times, and I know the kind of demand the people make on politicians. And I want a situation where even one young man that doesn't have much, but just emerge the winner in one location or the other. And when there are attempts to change it, the people revolt there and then. Once we begin to have things like that, then we will also begin to show a lot of seriousness on how to fight this corruption. I also want to say, in those days, when the celebrant, the convener was speaking, he was talking about values. As a person, I set up something in Ogun State I call the Believe Movement. What are we doing? We believe that the drop in our moral values, the decay in our moral values is actually the root cause of our problem. Because in those days, if you don't know where somebody has gotten money from to buy a car or to make a celebration, we will ask questions. But these days we don't do all of that. So we are all contributors to encouraging all of these things that we have in our society. So my own conclusion on this is that let us make sure that we have the right leadership. Let us ensure that we scrutinize our leaders very well. Where are they coming from? The money they are spending, where is it coming from? Let's also make sure that we take the right decisions that the people we vote for are the right people. It is not induced by money. It is not induced by by one thing or the other. If we do that, then we are laying a good foundation for a better tomorrow. Then in our individual, in our individual homes, particularly we from this part of the country, and indeed the whole of Africa, we are always very touchy about our name, about who we are coming from. In those Nile Yoruba, there are different ways by which all of these values were being taught. We are losing all of these things. But those orientations are being lost. Let's all go back to it. Let us all begin to ask questions as to where is the source of wealth of some of these people that we are having. Let us not base our decision on who do we vote for or who is our better. There are people that when they say that a politician did well, a leader did well, doesn't did well. When you see the criteria that people are saying, we are all encouraging corruption. So we are all contributors to this state. That is the truth about it. If we check ourselves, I'm sure that the leaders and the leaders will also begin to act right. These are just my own contribution to it. But like I said, I'm taking my leave because I need to go and do a few things. I'm happy to be here. If you have an opportunity to have this again, I will always want to come. Congratulations to the convener. Congratulations and thank you to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining the panel, sir. Thank you for coming. We'll take a few comments from Zoom.
Yeah. Sorry. I know you're now beginning to be time conscious, but I think you have some questions there. But then at the same time, we need to also recognize our online viewers. There's some comments coming up online, which I would like to mention. Thanks very much, sir. Thank you. Okay, so, yes.
We're just going to excuse her to don't speak it. Yes. So we have some questions and also some contributions. We are way behind schedule, but I'd like to especially recognize a seasoned actor, a man that we have great respect, a broadcaster, a man that needs no introduction in the entertainment industry. Can we celebrate Uncle Yemi Shodimu in the house? Can we celebrate Uncle Yemi? We're very honored to have you as part of your tight schedule. And Mama will be leaving very soon, and we need to just quickly maximize. Can we just quickly take, we have 3 questions. We're able to take 3 questions from Zoom. Yeah? Oh, contribution. Okay.
Yeah, so let me, these are questions. I'm afraid that the questions might even take us longer to answer.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to see.
So I think we should prioritize those who are here. Let's take a few comments from them. Again, if you're not too young to give us a comment, whether on education, on security, on corruption, we're going to take numbers and we'll stick with those.
If you don't mind, so that the Zoom also, just take one from Zoom and then we'll take 2 live questions. Mama, please, we would like to please, Nifemi, please get ready because we'll be talking about the rising. We have one more assignment and then Princess Sarah Debisi Shoso, whoever will have, we'll take over that segment. Can you please come forward? Can we just quickly take one of those questions from there so we can ask maybe from Mr.
Okay, so there's one of the questions here and it's on education. I think
education. We have one on education. Yes, so we can have one. Yes.
In fact, 2 of them are on education. Okay, so the first one says, what is the government actively doing to help students who are unable to attend schools, especially higher education, due to increase in tuition fees of so-called government schools? Another one that's similar. So many Nigerians are educated and struggling because the society is not conducive to thriving. What can youths do to thrive? And I think I'll throw that one to Mr. Edgar. What can youth do to thrive, and what should government do to make the society more friendly for growth? So,
Mama, should we quickly take those questions, or you want to answer your question quickly?
Let's take that question.
Okay,
so we
all right.
them together. Yes, contributions are also welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to say happy birthday to my friend, Tinuke. Congratulations, and I want to salute your vision. I want to salute your courage and determination. I want to say thank you to Mr. Azan for being so committed, and to my brother, Engineer Udu Ajenima. I want to thank the deputy for all your contribution. And I've forgotten his name. Thank you so much for everything. And moderator and everyone on the panelists and Professor Tommy. Thank you so much for all the audience. I want to start my contribution by singing this popular song during the time of Awolowo. It says, free education, Awolowo ló lè ṣe. Free education, Awolowo ló lè ṣe. This is accelerating nationwide development from the bottom up. When Awolowo went on every street, campaigning with Jakande and saying that by December, no, it was October of I've forgotten exactly, 89, around that period, and they came up with building all these mushroom schools. They said it was mushroom schools, but it was not just a saying. They went to the grassroots. They made sure that all of us, I was a product of that mushroom school. And because I was a product, I can testify to you that when we start from the grassroots, we mean business. And it's just because there's a change in mindset of people that's changed our country. There is no product of that education. No matter, even it was for chicken or whatever, I went to that school. And I made bold to say, when I went to University of Nigeria, I also topped in my grade. Going from that background, you see, the problem right now that we are having is because many people have changed from being operatives and they became administrators. I sent you to buy me a car. You will send another person. Another person will send another person. A situation of many administrators and very few operators. Many of our youths don't know how to be operatives. If you say clean this place, somebody that should clean the house, they won't clean it. And when the principal went to the school and saw the devastating situation, and the action she took was very excellent, but people think of bribing. If she had accepted the bribe, things would have gone bad. Mediocrity is celebrated, and that's the problem. But the issue is that if we follow what our brother said here, the project he did out of his heart. If all of us do it, if APC says 100 million for registration, and we believe in Patutomi, all of us, if all the youths of this country that are more than 5 million contribute 500 naira to make sure that Patutomi goes into that place and become the president, listen, we have to beat them with whatever amount of money they are talking. We can do it. It takes us to fight it. If we give 100 million to a Patutomi and say, go there and fight them for us, we will win. But we will not do it because we will not sweep our backyard. We will not do it. Why? Because we believe in just talking and not acting. And most graduates, how many of them are voting? I was contesting, I was publicizing for Abiola. I was disappointed because not all the graduates had voters card. That is where the problem is. If the people that are voting are not the people that have the thinking mentality, things will not change. How many of us have voters card? We can't change it. We are not ready yet. I want us to stand up as if we believe something, act now.
Thank you very, very much.
We appreciate Pastor Toboro. Thank you, ma.
By the way, before you go on, if you are still trying to make up your mind to get your voter card, the last quarter begins in May. That's your final chance to get your permanent voters card. The last 3 months will be for the registration. So don't lag any further. Please go on, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everybody. I want to firstly wish my friend and co-nation builder a very lovely, happy birthday. And I want to stand on the existing protocol to appreciate all the panelists. My name is Noah Toluleke Afeoluape. By God's grace, I am a self-discovery and purpose discovery coach for teenagers in particular. And I'm an inspirational speaker. So I have a recommendation based on over 13 years of, let me say, nation building effort with teenagers across secondary schools. I'm more of to be precise. And we've had the privilege of working with the former First Lady's NGO for about 4 years using a unique kind of curriculum. I think the solution to the new Nigeria would not come through academic education. It will come through inspirational education, which should be built on the foundation of creating a national vision for Nigeria that will be systematically taught across primary and secondary schools for then using these 4 cardinal points, which is an acronym for the word STAR, because I believe that God created every human being to be a star. But the classroom has stifled some stars and have given them scars. What do I mean? The present educational system allows for people who have what is called the logistic kind of intelligence, mathematical logistic kind of intelligence, to thrive within the classroom. And there are 7 areas of intelligence. Let me make that practical. We've made the fish to compete with the bird within the classroom. Let's assume that the classroom is designed for birds to excel, but we lump all kinds of animals in one classroom, using that respectfully, not that students are animals. But the fish cannot win against the bird if the examination is done in a swimming pool, for example. So the bird will die in the pool, the fish will soar. So the 4 cardinal points should be, I think, self-discovery. Our education now system should be designed in such a way that individuals from that tender age are taught to discover who they truly are. The second cardinal point should be talent management. The third should be aptitude for leadership. So we believe that if leadership is taught from that age upward, it will prepare us for the task of building the nation, because that's the fundamental problem Nigeria seems to have. And then the 4th cardinal point will be, for us, will be resources and relationship management. So we have a unique curriculum that we have taught to teenagers, over 35,000 of them, using a social enterprise that is called the Purpose Center, which I happen to have founded. And we have seen a lot of transformation within the minds of these young people. And many of them are also co-nation builders today in their own sphere of influence. So I make this submission without taking too much of our time again, to say that we have stars in every young Nigerian, but our educational system should move from academic education to inspirational education. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Noah.
Do we have one more question?
You
from
just
here?
take this last question, and I'm going to hold the mic. Your question straight. Sir, please, your question.
All right, thank
What
you
has
very
the
much.
Lord done? Test.
Okay. My name is Peter Adisa. I'm a counselor by training. So my question is directed to you, Ma. I know you have spoken a lot about the education and initiatives, but you didn't mention anything about counselor. And I see that somehow counselors have been marginalized. And this is what I mean. I ask this question everywhere I find myself, that if you are in this place today and you can remember the name of your secondary school counselor, please raise your hand. 1 person, 2, 3 out of. So it's obvious that something is wrong in this space. It's either, I know there are so many strata to it, and we are coming up with an initiative to solve this problem. But my question is, I just want to have an idea of what your government did during your time and what you can propose to this current issue about counseling.
Thank you so much. All right. So, Mama.
So well, I'm going to ask ma'am that we please take a little time. Yes. So let's take the counseling question together with what we can do to help those who are unable to attend higher institutions.
Well, to the counselor, I know the critical contributions of counseling in schools, especially for our primary schools. And then I know there were not even adequate number of counselors to go around, that you want to have one counselor in each school. So what we normally do that some people that even have the flair for it, we encourage the head of school to use them to counsel those children. So that was to meet the deficit in the number of counselors. You know, you have your association, and we worked well with the association as well to ensure that most of these children, especially children from backgrounds of single parenthood, of where this domestic violence thing has always been happening. Because some children, you identify them, why are you not performing as you used to be? Or why do you sleep in class? And they tell you those problems and you counsel. So that was what we did then. I want to advise those who said they cannot afford the fees. In the past, there were some correspondences that people used to be who they are today. And I think those opportunities still look for what we have as online these days. There are a lot of opportunities online that they can access. So they should not waste time. They should just Google. There are a lot of, even some free ones that they can access. That would be my response.
Thank you very much. Mr. Edgar, let's speak about those who are educated and still struggling. This question is asking what youth can do to thrive in a country like ours.
Thank you very much. What youth will need to thrive in the country. So basically, I want to assume that when we say youth, we are talk about those who have a certain level of education. And when I mean education, not only academic education. Do you understand? First and foremost, what I want to advise people, not only youth, is to kill the word help. That word help is very defeatist. So you see people say, oh, he doesn't want to help me. He doesn't want to help me. He doesn't want to help me. It's funny when people come and say, oh, come and help me, come and help me. Help you how? Do you understand? That's what I think is a major problem for most people who want to find fulfillment, whether they are youths, whether they are adults, or wherever they are. Environment is tough for everybody. Even the richest man in the country has his own challenges. The poorest man in the country has his own challenges. So don't bring your own and come out to my own. When you come and looking for whatever it is you're looking for, you must come with a definite plan. You must come with a strategy of achieving your plan. And then basically what you're asking me to do with you is to align with you to assist you to achieve what you want to achieve. So there are millions of opportunities, as Madam has mentioned, all over the place for the serious-minded people, for those who have a focus to take advantage of. One last thing I want to say, and I would like for people to listen very carefully, and now is that once anybody begins to attain a certain level, a certain age, a certain height, a certain what's the word now, of maturity, you must define for yourself what is success. That's what kills a lot of people. You see somebody who is very successful as a mechanic, but sees himself as a failure because he has not achieved a certain level of success based on societal definition of success. I don't know if I'm making sense. Yeah. So if everybody defines for themselves what is success to me as a person, once you achieve that, once you're on your way to achieving that, you are okay. So for me, my own idea of success is to give my children the best kind of education I can achieve in this life within the constraints of my own immediate resources. Once all of my children have a second degree, I am successful. It doesn't matter if I have a house anywhere, if I don't have a house, if I don't have a car, I am successful. So for youths, do not align your vision of success to the other person's own, because people are different, outlooks are different, and all of that. You get? So that's what I want to say.
Thank you very much. As we wrap up, and I'm very glad that we have a lot of young people in the house, I'd love to share one of my favorite parables in the Bible. It's a parable of the talents. And like you rightly said, for different persons, different amounts of talent. So till your own ground and stop comparing And maybe then you'll see that you're actually doing very well where you are. We'll be wrapping up this panel session. I'd like to thank all our panelists, both all who got here and those who couldn't. Honorable Kaido Kwefa couldn't join us. Is he here? Is he here? Honorable Kwefa, I couldn't make it. Princess Sarah Adebisi-Shoson, thank you very much for joining this panel and for your contributions. Mr. Joseph Edgar, he's gone up the stage. Thank you very much for your insightful contributions. Also, Boriga Isiaka, GNI, is left us now. We thank you very much. And Mr. Tope Fashua, thank you for your insight. And for the celebrants, congratulations, and thank you for bringing together this beautiful panel.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to invite Nifemi to quickly come and take, yes. Thank you. Yes? Yeah. Can we take, yes, we'll just take picture of Mr. Joseph. I would like Uncle Yemi to join also. Okay, Yemi, please, you can join us, please. Yes. Thank you. Where's Nifemi? Okay, all right, Nifemi, quickly. All right, quickly, please. Nifemi, come and start talking about the next assignment. Quickly. We're wrapping up this part so that we can, and we have something for everyone here so that, yes.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Nifemi, and quickly, I will be talking about the Rising Reformers Fellowship. We are also launching the Rising Reformers today. Some of them are online, and I'm happy. You guys, wherever you are, I want to see the raised hands online. Yes. Okay, so we are going to be launching the Reformers Fellowship today, and I'll quickly say one or two things about the Rising Reformers Fellowship. Now, the fellowship is a one-year program that is scheduled to consciously raise leaders. We don't want accidental leaders. We want to raise leaders that are concerned about the development of this country, not just because I know somebody that knows somebody. We are talking about leaders that have gone through the process and they've seen and they've realized that I can function better in this capacity. Like myself, I'll tell myself that I'm not sure I will make a good president. However, I will be an excellent legislator. Those are two different things, and I've been able to realize that I will do well in this capacity than the other one. So the point is, we want to raise thoughtful leaders, and through this program, we want to train, nurture, and as well as, restore what has been lost, rebuild what has been broken, and also reform everything that has been deformed. That is our mission. And in the space of 3 weeks, we already have over 350, over 300 applications, and we have been able to sort them. We have successful applicants. Some of them are online, some of them are here physically, and we will be running the program over 11 months. So just in case anyone still wants to be part of us, I want to assume that there will be a privilege for people that are here to also join the program, because we are going to be providing them good mentors that will guide them all through the program. I mean, mentors that are already in the field where you are aspiring to, to make good impact. So once again, I want to say congratulations to every successful applicant of the Rising Reformers Fellowship. And I can assure you that the program is packed, it's filled, and every now and then we engage each other, and you are going to enjoy the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nifemi. And do we have members of the Rising Reformers Fellowship present here live? Do we have any of them here? Oh, they're all online. So we celebrate you. Thank you so much. Once again, we sincerely appreciate all our panelists, all our speakers. Can we celebrate them? Can we please put your hands together for them? I know that this is, dinner will be served immediately. Yes? Sis? Okay. Yes.
The Rising Reformers Fellowship. Can you just please take up your phones now and check us out on www.risingreformers.org. So who are the Rising Reformers? Rising Reformers Fellowship is an initiative that I'm inaugurating today, and it's actually for those who have the burning desire to want to make a change in Nigeria. So what better this idea is that just like a farmer who really wants to have an harvest, he will take a seed, plant it in the soil, and wait for the harvest time. So I think that we're in the age and time in Nigeria where we must be deliberate and conscious about raising a new raising new leaders, but these ones are peculiar. These ones have a problem in Nigeria that has their name on it. These ones are passionate. These ones are purpose-driven. These ones, they want to really make the change and make a difference in their country. So if you know someone who is very passionate about Nigeria, if you know someone who has a solution, who is solution-oriented towards one of the problems, hey, you have a rising reformer just within your network, kindly tell them to apply. And we're using this opportunity also to ask for partnerships. You know, you can be a mentor, you can be a counselor, you can be a coach. And like I earlier said in my welcome address, that I'm going to bring all my resources to ensure that we truly raise these rising reformers. It's a baby project for me now, and I am determined that this is what I want to do from 40 years henceforth. Please, kindly, we need your support, financial support, material support, and every kind of support within your means. Like Toluleke, I'll be coming for you. Like Mr. Adisa, I'll be coming for you. The counselors, the coaches in the house, So we need to put together every knowledge and skill to ensure that we water, we nurture, and we groom the next people who will lead Nigeria. I'm one very optimistic person, and I believe solely that, God placed me in Nigeria for a purpose, and I could as well leave this country with my family. But hey, there's an assignment here for us to do, and I'm very passionate to see that we're going to do the work. And it's my prayer that in our own generation, like I said, that we are the awakening generation. So in my own generation, in my old age, in my 70s, I will sit back and see people that we have raised make the change happen, because the change that we seek, it is not in the abroad. It is not coming from someone to come and help us. It is not even one Messiah. It takes our collective effort, our collective contribution to make the change happen. Please, guys, I need your support for the Rising Reformers Fellowship. Thank you once again.
Once again, can we appreciate Tinuke? Can we appreciate all our speakers and all our panelists? At this time, we're wrapping up the symposium, and we'd like you to know that we have, for people that are leaving now, you could just kindly please, want to take pictures with Tinuke or network, you can kindly please step outside, because we'd like everyone to please, kindly please step outside at this time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're not done yet. For people that are leaving, we have something for you. But for our own family members, we know that we have a book launch immediately, and then we have our chief launcher already in the house, Dr. Olusegun Vincent. Can we celebrate our chief launcher? We celebrate you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. We'll do proper recognition. We'll bring them to the reserve table. We'll be fast about it. Later, before 12 a.m., we should be out of this. Huh? Latest. Okay, so at this time, we'd like you to kindly please step outside. Just be outside there, because we'd like to rearrange this place quickly. Thank you so much. DJ, you can give us something stopped from Zazu. Sorry. From Tiwasam. Sorry. From Thank you.
In the rain as the clouds go gray, on the roars of the earth sings, season's just beginning, sunlight it hides as the clouds make way. I'm pouring out my blessings, will not be afraid. I see it now, I understand, I know, so I embrace it, dance. In the rain it's for my seed to grow, for every prayer and every seed I sow. Lord of the harvest moons, I'm looking back 100-fold. The land is green, it's green, oh, oh. The land is green, it's green, can't you see?
Thank you so much. DJ, don't stop the music, increase the volume. It's just for us to step outside for a few minutes to arrange this place so that we can start the reception proper. We'll have enough to eat, but if you are leaving now, we have food for you. And please, once you collect the food, you can't eat your cake and have it. Sorry, you can't eat that one and now take and DJ, take it up now. Don't stop until I take your stuff.
So I keep on believing. I see it now, I understand, I know. So I embrace it, dance. Once again, it's time for me to grow. For every prayer and every tear I've shown, Lord of the harvest knows I enjoy 100-fold. The land is green, it's green. Oh, oh. The land is green, it's green. Can't you see? The harvest is ready. The Lord of the harvest told me so. It's green for me. I thought it was over, thought you were done with me. But we're just beginning. Whoa, my life is a journey. I will walk with you. I will go where you want me to. Yes, I will go. Come on.
Nigeria hasn't always justified the faith of its people, but there comes a time.
The destiny of us.
We are Nigeria. We are that turning point generation. We are Nigeria. We are the future.
We are the future. We are the dream. We are the nation. We are part of this. Yes, we are so amazing. That's the least we shall be. At the heart of the nation, changing history. How can they say that we are finished? We have just begun. When we have nowhere else to run to, we have nowhere else to go. So get out of the way of the land of our dreams. We are the nation, we are part of this. Oh. We are the nation, we are part of this. Whoa. Carry the song, carry the sound. The future is here. The future is here. Goodbye yesterday, tomorrow is now for the taking. The future is here. The future is here. I am the future. I am the future. I am the dream. I am the nation. I am part of this. Yes, I am so amazing. That's the least I shall be. Least I shall be. At the heart of the nation, changing history. How can they say that we are favored? We have just begun. When we have nowhere else to run, nowhere else to run, nowhere else to go, nowhere else to go. So get out of the way of the land of my dreams. I am the nation, I am part of it. Whoa. Carry the song, carry the sound. The future is here. The future is here. Goodbye yesterday, tomorrow is now for the